Master Sergeant Dennis Law. So I am a E7 in the Air Force.
My name is Tyler Bale. Airman First Class, so an E3.
I'm Technical Sergeant Logan Jones, United States Air Force. I'm also a jet engine mechanic, and I've been doing that for around 8 years.
My name is Staff Sergeant Brian Candaza. So my rank is E5 or Staff Sergeant.
My name is Labriana Lawyer. I'm Senior Airman in the Air Force.
My name is Jace Williams. I am a Specialist 4, so an E4 in the United States Space Force. I am a space system operator, and specifically here out in California, we're up at Beale Air Force Base. We do missile warning, and so what I do is I sit in a giant box pretty much, and it's a big ground-based radar that we call it. It's a phased array radar, and all that it does is it shoots up energy out into the sky, and then it hits satellites up in the air, and it comes back down to us, and it lets us know if anything's coming our direction. It also helps us keep track of what's going on overhead in space.
Currently, I am the Deployment and Distribution Superintendent of LRS. So for duties, basically we have several different sections that fall under deployment and distribution. So we cover everything from ground transportation, air transportation, logistics plans, and traffic management as well. So basically we're kind of like the FedEx of the Air Force.
So my job is technically called security forces, but basically what that is an on-base cop. So I'm doing everything from when you first come up to the gates of the base, they will scan your identification cards that have your name and what military branch of service you're in. And I do everything from that at the gates, scanning cards, to riding around base in the patrol vehicles and just doing normal cop things every day, like helping people, writing traffic tickets, just basic helping people out in any way.
Currently, I oversee a lot of the younger aircraft maintainers, make sure that they're doing their job properly, ensure that they're safe while they're doing what they do, and kind of teach them how to do our job to the best of their ability.
My position, my actual full title is Diet Therapy Technician. What I do is work in nutrition within the hospital. I work in teaching nutrition classes at the outpatient clinic, as well as taking care of all the inpatients in the hospital, making sure that they are being fed the appropriate nutrition so that they can recover, get better, and get discharged from the hospital.
Right now I work at the Maintenance Operations Center over at Beale Air Force Base, California. What I basically do is manage the flight line, anything that they need. As far as like, they'll give our center a call for fuel. They give our center a call for tows. They'll give us, anything. Like basically we're just the center that takes care of the flight line. We have all information regarding any numbers that you call in Beale, and pretty much it. I am from Atlanta, Georgia.
I grew up in San Diego, California.
So my father was Army, so I've been a little bit of everywhere. Before I joined the military, I hailed from the state of Kentucky, a little bit south of Louisville. If you've ever heard of Kentucky, you've probably heard of Louisville. That's usually where I tell people I'm from.
So originally I'm from Mobile, Alabama. So a small little town in Alabama.
From Illinois, so I'm a Midwest boy, so this is so much better than Illinois. I love it out here.
I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. My family was pretty kind and generous people. We didn't have a lot growing up, but most of my immediate family was fairly nice. The areas I grew up in, though, were a little rough. Some not the safest areas to grow up in, but the people that were in my immediate family were very good people.
I moved about 3 times during my time in San Diego. About my second move, the crowd of people I was hanging around with weren't definitely the best. However, I was still able to kind of keep out of trouble.
So growing up, I spent a lot of time around a lot of other military kids, but I spent the most amount of time in Kentucky. There's a good blend out there. You've got country folk, you've got people that find themselves in like gang ties, drugs, violence, stuff like that. You've got real nerdy folk, real jock types. It was a real mixing pot for sure. And I feel like somehow I found myself with like at least one of each of those around me at any given time, especially throughout high school.
I grew up all over pretty much Atlanta, as far as, you know, outskirts, the inner city, all that good stuff. A lot of gangs, violence, not very good people for anyone to really be around at that age, but it is what it is. There are also some good people, so it's not all bad.
Yeah, so growing up, you know, again, a small town, so we had a lot of different personalities, but definitely more of a country town. So, you know, a lot of people, I'd say, that just not necessarily hard workers, but just not education focused. Not much of diversity. You know, a lot of people that I interacted with were white Caucasian. You know, so it didn't get to experience a lot of ethnicity backgrounds. You know, so that's one of the things I really enjoy about the Air Force is working with a whole variety of diverse backgrounds.
I've always thought that when you are growing up in one area, you're surrounded by people that all think the same, tell you how to act, and it's the same as they grew up. So I feel like in order to grow as a person, mature as a person, you need to kind of experience other types of people in other places in the world or in America itself. So like being in the Midwest, it was always one type of thinking that everyone had, and everybody had the same idea for what they wanted to do with their life. Stay in the Midwest, work in the town that they're from, just stay there, raise a family there, keep the bloodline there in town. But I don't think that's how you truly grow as a person. I think you need to get out and experience other people, other places. Like coming out here to the West Coast, I've experienced already so many other people, ideas, just learning about how different people live their lives and what they think of their lives, like how they want to go and the direction they want to go with their lives. It's nice to kind of change my perspective. It's kind of a sheltered kid. So I mean, my difficulties were just like trying not to be so much of a people pleaser and trying not to let other people's opinions of me dictate how I thought of myself. So that was one thing kind of coming into the military taught me, was that, and being a cop taught me, was that it doesn't really matter what other people think. Like, I know that sounds cheesy, like everybody says it doesn't matter what people think of you, but it really doesn't, because everybody else will have their own opinion of you in their head, but only you know the true you, and you have to stay true to that. And the right people will love you for it, and the wrong people will judge you for it. So you have to kind of discern who's the right people you want in your life and who's the wrong people you don't need it. So my biggest thing was my household. My parents fought a lot as a child, and then pretty young. I think I was around 12, 13 when they got divorced. And then the back and forth between that, the custody battle, yada yada. Having a brother about 10 years my junior, and then having to deal with him as well as that going on, just the back and forth with all that. It caused a lot of distrust, anchored a lot of like childhood traumas, and then I think personally for me, is I got a pretty bad separation anxiety, actually.
My biggest challenge as a teen was discipline. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I hated listening to other people. Thought I knew what was best all the time, and I didn't. That was my biggest struggle.
Some challenges I had as a teen going into adulthood. So my father was Navy. He was gone a lot, so it was practically just me and my mom the whole time. I'm an only child. With my dad being gone almost my entire teenage life, my mom was very strict, very hard on me, and I was very rebellious. But I realized, her being so hard on me definitely helped me out in the long run.
Staying out of the streets. Not doing bad things that presented themselves as good things, as far as like fast money, fast life. I learned everything that's fast isn't necessarily good.
I would say the biggest challenge that I had coming up was dealing with, having a problem with like being overweight. So of course, I was dealing with a lot of bullies and people picking on me for being overweight. And of course, I was very introvert growing up as a kid too because of that. So I think just dealing with that as a kid made it really hard for me to stand out and talk to other people. So, coming into the military and kind of getting over that has helped me tremendously compared to growing up as a kid. My biggest motivation, I would say, definitely be my Christian background. Growing up, raised in the church. I think that's my entire life has helped me tremendously. Having my loving family there to support me also has helped out a lot. So I think just having that strong anchor of faith, and also just having a good family support, regardless of people, bad experiences and stuff like that. As long as you have a good anchor, man, you can get through anything.
I've always been religious, so it really was God in the times like BMT, like when things just sucked. It was just praying, and just talking to God and being like, hey, I know this is where I'm supposed to be right now. This is where you want me to be right now. Just help me kind of get through that mentally and emotionally, and just because I know there's a plan, and I just kind of help me get to that plan as easy as possible. And if I have to suffer through it the way that I am, just be there for me and kind of help me suffer through it. So, religion is the one thing.
I mostly just motivated myself during times of difficulty. My parents weren't although they were nice and they did provide a lot for us, they weren't very emotionally involved with us, so it was hard to talk to them. So my brother also was, my younger brother, we took care of each other a lot and he motivated me a lot. We're actually both in the Air Force now. I think it did. I think that seeing people that cared about the youth, that had the ability to care about other people, motivated me. That's what I love. That's my favorite part about being in the military, is being able to help other people achieve their goals and pursue their dreams, and just help them throughout day-to-day life, because it can be hard trying to figure out life all by yourself.
Actually, I kind of got out the mud myself. I ain't gonna lie. But I also had my grandma and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think what motivated me, and what still does, is just wanting to make my parents proud. I know they had their quarrels with each other, and they were going back and forth, but whoever I was with at the time, I just felt like if I could do something that was kind of above myself and contributed to something bigger, that they would see the value in that, especially my father being in the military. I understood that he knew what that was about, but it was always just, even in high school as a kid, it was just keep going, keep doing better, keep trying, keep pushing yourself, keep achieving, and hopefully they'll see the good in it. Again, my mom was the only person that took care of me. I definitely became a mama's boy, so me wanting to give back to her for everything that she was able to do for me. I wanted to do what I could to help her out. I was part of Boys and Girls Club in Escondido, California. I went to 2 branches. One was the Mitchell branch. I totally forgot the name, or the other one was Baker branch. Just remembered. Mitchell branch and Baker branch. And they definitely helped keep me out of trouble. I'm glad my mom put me in it. I was able to spend my after-school time there while waiting to get picked up. I enrolled in the Boys and Girls Club flag football team. Played for them. It was just a lot of fun. Great time.
So me personally, I was heavy in sports. So for me, never really took advantage of it. Our schools, they did have those opportunities, but I was more interested in sports. So for me, it was sports, home, schoolwork, and in bed. So, nice. But I've always been a big fan of it. The after-school program I was a part of was
being at home and being by myself. I wasn't afraid of anything.
She was in the Boys and Girls Club from the ages of 8 up to 16. I went down from the elementary school program, then I went up to the middle school program, up to even the teen center, and helped out junior staff, I guess you guys would call it, for that. It was cool. When I wasn't on the streets, I was up in there, having fun, learning from, all the staff. So that was cool. I guess it did help me see that there's other things outside of drugs and violence and gangs and all that stuff. So me going into the military was also another choice that I made, to keep myself out of that trouble the same way I chose to go some days to the Boys and Girls Club instead of hanging outside. So.
When I was really, really young, I was a Boy Scout. I never went on to be like an Eagle Scout or anything, but I did do Boy Scouts, and then I did do a lot of sports growing up, but never any like formal organizations, I don't think.
I was part of the Boys and Girls Club for around 4 years and around the middle school age. But I was always doing after-school programs because both my parents worked. They worked pretty late, so I had to have something to do after school. So I love the Boys and Girls Club. I love any after-school program that gives kids something to do besides just sit at home or get into trouble or run around. It's good. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Pray for us whenever you see us out in uniform. Just thank us for what we did, for what we do.
Oh yeah, you guys can send thank you cards. I know a while back, like I think it was my first Christmas here, there was a Boys and Girls Club like closer to Beale that actually picked us cookies, and all the dorm airmen and whatnot, like they just set them outside our doors with the thank you card. Stuff like that, like we get actually care packages when I was deployed from different schools, kids, stuff like that. So especially being deployed, it definitely helps boost morale and make us realize why we're out there. Don't be stupid. Don't be outside, run the streets. You ain't got no business out there. Ain't nothing fun out there for real. Go to Boys and Girls Club more often. It's important. Stay off the streets.
You matter, regardless of what has happened to you. Like I said, coming up in school, getting picked on, it can take a lot of toll on you emotionally and stuff like that. So I think just reassuring myself that this is just a small phase that you got to go through, and then you're going to come out on top for sure. So I think just having kind of motivating myself, like, hey, you got big things that's going to happen to you in the future, so you just got to just push through this, So I think that's the biggest thing, and just reassurance that I'm not an idiot. I think for me that was another big thing, just not doing good in school grade wise. So thinking that I wasn't going to do anything with my life, and I think if I could reassure myself that, hey, you're going to do big things as you get older, I think that would have helped me, motivate me a little bit.
Just listen to what people are telling you. It's taken me a long time, even now, to realize that people do have your best interest at heart. Listen to your family and your friends. I like to tell people, if you have someone that played a video game and they told you how to beat the game, you're going to listen to them. That's pretty much what older people are doing for you. They're trying to tell you the best way to get through the game of life.
Mom, you're definitely right in doing everything for me.
It's gonna work out. It is rough right now. It is really rough, and you don't know where you're going. You don't know what's gonna happen, and you frankly just want to give up. I know you do. I know what it feels like to be in a pit at the bottom. But there is a plan, there is a blueprint for you in your life, and you are probably destined to do a lot more than you think. You are probably capable of much more than you think. And if you just trust the process and you keep pushing day in and day out, and you just go, you're gonna find that light, and you're gonna shine once you get there. I would just say the mistakes that you make going through middle school and high school, all of that is for a purpose. Like, you need to make those mistakes to figure out how to grow as a person more and what you need to do differently. And just paying attention to the mistakes of others, so that way you can base your decisions on those mistakes that you see through other people and the mistakes you make yourself. So really just be more observant of the world and what it has to give you and offer you. Just be smarter than us. Be smarter than what we're doing. Find better ways, more efficient ways to do our job, and just kind of keep improving every single day, because we don't have the right answers. Nobody's got the right answers. It's just the best way that we think we should be doing things, and there's always a better way to do it. So just finding those better ways.
I think at the rate our youth is coming up now with the amount of information that they have, it's great. Just for the amount of, just what I'm seeing with our younger airmen coming in the Air Force today, they're just picking up information so much quicker than what we did. So it's good to see that our younger generation, they're smarter, they're picking up things a lot better than we are. So it just, to me, it means that we have a great future ahead of us with technology and ultimately defenses, right? You know, against Russia, China, stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff I'm hoping we can continue to see more, continue to challenge our school age kids here, just challenge them to become better, think better. That way, by the time they, if they do come in the military, then they're going to be able to bring a lot more to the fight.
I hope that you guys just keep innovating. This generation of kids coming up are so much smarter than what we were. They're so much more technologically adept and are way more aware of what's going on. I just hope you guys don't get too wrapped up in what you see every day, and just continue to solve the problems that you can on a day-to-day basis, and keep building your education, because you guys are smart group of kids, and I think you'll go very far.
Going back, just keeping an open mind. You guys are the future, going to be innovating for us, creating new opportunities. Just make sure you're keeping that open mind, taking in all opinions, biases and everything, and making your decision based off of that.
Let's listen more. That I feel like is very important, because especially in my youth, and I know a couple other people, my siblings, friends, we all feel like we just know everything. Just listen. You're gonna learn more if you just sit there and be quiet.
All right.
Ask questions too. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Stay curious, stay inquisitive, question things. Never sit down. Never let those above you just sit and tell you things have to be a certain way. You guys have bright minds, and you think about things differently. There's always going to be a generational shift. I know I think of ways a lot differently than someone did 30 years ago. And I'm bringing these ideas into the world now as an emerging adult and as a young adult. And just stay curious. Want to learn more, want to find more. Keep an open mind about everything. I mean, the world is crazy right now. The world is absolutely wild, and your life might be really hectic. It might be a little bit more tame, but you're going to face challenges unique to yourself, and never play them down. They might not be as big as someone else's problems, but they're still your problems, and you're still dealing with them as you will. And you just got to keep fighting and keep pushing through. There's so much more opportunity nowadays with technologies, with programs like this. That can help kind of guide you in the right direction. And if you just trust those around you and know that people are good at heart, and they really are, and they do want to help you, a lot can get better, a lot will change, and you can change a lot.
You to challenge yourself. One of the things I wish I could have done more, especially during this part of my childhood, was just challenge myself more. And now is like the perfect time where you can continue to develop yourself, and that way when you get a little bit older, you'll have more opportunities available to you. That was one of the things that I didn't take serious you know, I didn't want to challenge myself. I hated school. I didn't want to work out. You know, I just wanted to kind of like coast, and then that took me, you know, it took a long time for me to kind of catch up, you know. So I'd say as far as motivation is, everybody should wake up every morning and, you know, they should think, okay, what can I do today to make myself better? Whether that be education-wise, physical, you know, every single day, you know, you should be waking up trying to figure out how you can make yourself better than you were the day before, because that's just going to help you in every aspect of your life, not just education, right? Just physically, emotionally. So yeah, I think for that aspect, just wake up every day and try to make something of yourself.
I mean, do what makes you happy. Always, you know, pursue your goals. Not everything that you want to happen in life is going to happen, but as long as you have a positive attitude, as long as you stay true to yourself, and you're going to be all right.
I guess no matter, you know, where you come from, where you grew up, whether you had a good childhood, bad childhood, there's always going to be a place for you somewhere. Okay?
Don't let mistakes that you make, don't let other people's mistakes influence what you want to do with your life. You don't have to have a life plan. Like people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, your grandparents, your parents, like they don't know what they're going to do. Like they don't know what they want with their life. Every adult you see is just making it work day by day. You don't have to have a goal or plan, nothing. Nothing is set in stone. You can change everything. So just don't stress yourself out with what you're going to do in 10 years, 20 years. Just figure out what you're going to do tomorrow and just kind of keep going from that.